Hey, it's been a while. Welcome to my first video of November. This is supposed to be the only video from October, but I wasn't able to finish the video by the end of October, so yeah. Anyway, people call October techtober because of all the tech that is announced and released in October and generally towards the end of the year. And smartphones are no different. There are a ton of smartphones announced in October, and I wanted to make a video listing all the phones that were announced or released in October. Let me know if I missed anything in the comments, and don't take this as a buyer's guide. This is not supposed to be a buyer's guide. So let's get started. Let's start with the entry level phones. These are phones that cost anywhere from 2000 to 15,000 rupees. And in this category, we have phones from Poco and OnePlus. Although the new OnePlus phones might not be released in India, but I think they're still worth talking about. First up, the Poco C3. Poco kind of dropped out of the public eye for a bit and then came back last year, but they were just rebranding Redmi phones under the Poco name. But since the Poco X3, it looks like they are trying to make their own phones again. This Poco C3 starts at 8,000 rupees and sits right below the Redmi 9. This phone has a Helio G35 CPU, 720p display, 3 or 4GB of RAM, 32 or 64GB of storage, 3 cameras on the back, and a 5 megapixel notched front camera. And it also has a massive battery just like every other entry phone, which is good. But the worst parts are it has no fast charging, which is understandable, but the thing that still troubles me with entry level phones is their lack of USB-C. I mean, many other phones in this segment also don't have USB-C, but why don't they? Other than that, this phone might be a good option if you're strictly under this budget, and from what I've seen, the cameras also look good. The OnePlus Nord N10. This is one of two phones that OnePlus recently launched in Europe and UK. Their availability in India is unsure, but let's just take a look at them. The Nord N10 is OnePlus's new entry-level phone with a Snapdragon 460 CPU, 4GB RAM, 64GB storage, but that 64GB is expandable with an SD card slot, something that OnePlus phones didn't have for a few years now. It has an LCD display, understandable at this price range, and this LCD display has a standard refresh rate, no 90Hz here. 3 cameras on the back, 1 camera on the front, and since it is LCD, the fingerprint scanner is on the back. And it also has a headphone jack. I mean, at this price, you have to have a headphone jack. It also has a 5000 mAh battery and 18 watt fast charging. But the problem with this phone, I personally think is, I don't know, if OnePlus ever releases this phone in India, I don't think they'll price it right. Even in UK where it is being released, it's closer to £200, which is not cheap. Alright, those are the entry-level phones to announce in October. Now let's take a look at the mid-range phones. These are phones that are priced anywhere between 15,000 up to 30,000 rupees. The Samsung Galaxy F41. Samsung makes really good budget phones, but recently most of them have the exact same CPU, and that's been the case since the Galaxy M30s last year, the Exynos 9611. And this phone uses the same CPU again. The phone itself is surprisingly similar to the M21. Actually, the only differences are this phone has 2GB extra RAM and newer and updated cameras. The camera improvements are definitely good. It starts from 17,000 rupees. But the thing is, this phone is exclusively sold on Flipkart. I guess that's the F in the name. But why start with F41? The Vivo V20. The thing about Vivo is that they have been genuinely making good camera tech and software in their recent phones. The V20's new feature is eye tracking. But the thing I always dislike about Vivo and their budget phones is their price. No matter how good the cameras or how stylish the designs are, the price is always a big turn-off. The Vivo V20 starts from 25,000 rupees, and for that price, the Snapdragon 720 falls a little short in my opinion. The OnePlus Nord N10. We're back to the OnePlus again, and their new mid-range phone, the Nord N10. This is kind of like the little brother of the OnePlus Nord that was launched in August, and this is going to be a little cheaper than that. So there are downgrades. The display is now LCD, but still 90Hz. Because of the LCD, the fingerprint is moved to the back, and it only has one front camera. But it has a slightly bigger battery and the same watt charge 30T. And this also has a headphone jack and a microSD card slot. And I'm kind of mixed about this. I'm not sure what OnePlus will do with this considering the price that they launched the Nord at. 25,000, actually 28,000 if you want if you want good enough storage. The Pixel 4a. I really miss the time when Google phones were cheaper in India. The Pixel 4 is absolutely a great phone. No other phone in the budget segment has such fantastic cameras. That simply is the biggest advantage that the Pixel 4 has over every other mid-range phone. It might have an outdated CPU, a 60Hz display, not the fastest charging phone, but that incredible camera performance and the excellent battery life, because of the light and optimized software, makes this an easy phone to recommend to anyone who wants a great camera for a low price. If the phone was cheaper, it costs 32,000 rupees, which is $430, only $30 more than what it costs in the US, but still, there are so many other good options in India that Google should have considered pricing this a little cheaper. And now for the best of the best, the high-end phones. The iPhone 12 series. Apple finally announced their new 5G iPhones, the iPhone 12 series, and this time there are not two, not three, but four phones in the series. The iPhone 12, the 12 mini, 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max. All these phones have the same CPU of course, so performance won't be different no matter what model you choose, and for the first time, even the cheapest models have AMOLED displays, and that is simply the best upgrade from the previous versions in my opinion. And the design has been changed as well. They combined the modern design of the iPhone 11 with the boxy and flat design of the iPhone 5s, and that looks great. There are also new features for the Pro models like the MagSafe charging. Magnets are built into the back of the phone to attach accessories and to charge the phone with a wireless charger that attaches magnetically to the back. The iPhone 12 seems like the best option in India at least. It starts at 70,000 and the highest spec model, the 12 Pro Max 512GB version, goes up to 1,60,000 rupees, which is a bit much. I mean, you can fly to Dubai, buy the phone there, and then buy a ticket back and still save 8,000 rupees much. So these phones will be off limits for many people until the prices drop, or if you don't want to wait, the iPhone 12 is a good enough option at 70,000 rupees. The Xiaomi Mi 10T and the Mi 10T Pro. Great phones, no doubt, but I don't know why they didn't use an AMOLED for the display. The ROG Phone 3 also has a 140Hz display, and that is AMOLED. The Mi 10T uses an LCD. Everything else about the phone is fantastic, and this kind of pricing is what I meant when I was talking about the V20 and the Pixel 4a. For 36,000 rupees, the Mi 10 is a steal. You can't go wrong with this. But I don't see the point of the Mi 10T Pro. The only difference between the 10T and 10T Pro is the higher resolution camera and 2GB more RAM. The phone though is absolutely great. Samsung Galaxy S20 Fan Edition. All the greatness of a flagship at a much lower price for the fans, with some compromises. It has a 120Hz AMOLED, 8GB RAM with an SD card slot, fantastic triple camera setup, great battery, and it's also IP68 certified. But it's made of plastic, it doesn't have a headphone jack, and it uses the Exynos 990 in India instead of the Snapdragon 865. But when you're getting this much phone for that price, I don't think these are big problems. The OnePlus 8T. Same phone, worse design. The hardware is basically the same as the OnePlus 8. Only with the 8T, the display is now 120Hz and there is now another pointless camera. The 5MP monochrome lens, used to get additional detail in photos. The macro camera is still there too. Even if 2 out of the 4 cameras are pointless, the phone is still great. And it now has 65-watt charging. Launched at 43,000 in India, definitely a great competition for the S20 FE I was talking about. But I really don't like the change in the design. They went for a Samsung-like camera module which looks much worse to me. And finally, these last two phones will be bought by very few people, but they're still exciting. The Moto Razr 5G. Motorola launched their own foldable phone last year, the Moto Razr. It was easily the best looking foldable phone last year in my opinion. And this is the second generation with some design improvements, mainly to protect the phone better. They updated the hinge and design a little, so now it folds without any gap between the two halves. And it has a Snapdragon 765G, which has 5G. It costs 1,24,000 rupees, so yeah, off limits for most of us. And then the LG Wing. Easily the most unique phone this year. It has a swivel display. The main display can be rotated horizontally to the top of the phone, and underneath there is another square display, both AMOLED. You might remember seeing this phone somewhere before. Yeah, it is basically that phone. No high-end specs here though. But you don't buy a phone like this for that. You buy it for its uniqueness. That display opens up many new ways to multitask, and it's very interesting that LG is again starting to do new things with their phones. For the last few years, LG's phones were good but boring, and they were nothing special. But with the G8X last year and the really attractive design of the LG Velvet and now the Wing, it looks like LG is trying to get themselves back on the map. And that's it. Every phone that was released or announced in October 2020. I'm thinking of doing this every month. Maybe. And let me know if I missed anything in the comments below. And I'll see you guys in the next video, which hopefully won't be at the end of November. Thanks for watching.